Hello there, I'm Max Keiser. This is the Keiser Report. Ooh, yeah. Stacey.
Max, you know, there's one thing that you have been saying and been quoted on many times in all the sort of financial media relating to Bitcoin is that this black hole concept that Bitcoin is a black hole sucking in all these other investments. And it is quite ironic that gold is kind of the result of those sort of universal forces, the forces of the universe, rather than universal forces. Black holes, exploding stars, all that sort of stuff. Because your black hole that is called Bitcoin.
My black hole. My black hole. Sounds like a name of a rap tune. I was on the corner drinking some drink when my black hole said, "Hey, buddy, what's going on?"
Here's a
Not
chart.
a very good rap song.
Here's a chart.
I'm still flummoxed. I'm gobsmacked by your reference to my black hole.
Here's a chart from Zero Hedge, and it's Bitcoin versus gold, just going back to a few months into this year. So it's only 2017. Bitcoin takes off, gold falls. Remember when Bitcoin hit one?
This is the jaws of death.
Yeah.
This is called a crocodile pattern. If you get sucked into that, you get...
I need the rest of the script.
Oh, yeah? How much?
Yes.
I'll give it to you for the Bitcoin.
Okay.
I'm holding the script hostage.
So
I'm taking over. There's going to be no turning back at this point. Me and my black hole.
So remember when Bitcoin first passed the price of gold, and that had been something that we had been waiting for 8.5 years. Everybody in the Bitcoin community had been waiting for it. Will it ever hit the price of gold? Will they be one for one? And sure enough, it hit that in like September, October, probably early September, maybe it's the summer. Everything goes by so fast. It's kind of like we're in parallel dimensions in the Bitcoin space. So it's now obviously like exploded well past that. But we now have people in the Bitcoin, in the gold space, talking about, referring to the fact that gold.
Are they? What are they saying?
This is a headline from Daily Reckoning. And by the way, you know, you and I when we first met back in 2003, the Daily Reckoning was one of the only sort of online sites available at that time, one of the go-to sites. This is way before Facebook and Twitter and all that sort of stuff. We went to the Daily Reckoning all the time. They talked about gold, they talked about silver. And here's a headline from the Daily Reckoning: How Bitcoin Killed Gold. Most seasoned traders concluded that the advent of Bitcoin futures would unravel the insane crypto rally we've witnessed over the past 12 months. Futures traders would eat the amateurs alive and slam the price lower once shorting Bitcoin became an option, they said. But so far, they've been dead wrong. So they go into how Bitcoin trading is still bonkers. Obviously, as soon as the futures launched, it was up 26% that day. Then it was down, then it was up. So they were no less, they weren't able to do what everybody in the financial media, like CNBC, had said, that the smart money involved in futures would eat all those Bitcoin investors alive.
I said that would not happen.
You did say that would not happen.
Even though I am well experienced in all things financial, and I made a whole career on Wall Street trading futures and options, I knew that this would not be the case. Anyway, so the black hole concept, though, is one where this is good money. According to Thayer's law, if you want to look at economics, it's pushing out the bad money. You know, somebody asked me this morning, what is Bitcoin backed by? You know, that question is always comes up. What's it backed by? You know, my simple answer is it's backed by all the money that's coming into it. You know, it's sucking in all the dollars, yen, drachma, yuan, euros. It's all being sucked in. It's all being pulled into, and it's not going to leave. You know, once it goes into Bitcoin and crypto, you're swapping garbage money for good money. So you're not going to go back to garbage money. So it's backed by all that money. It's backed by, now when at that time people were saying, well, gold's a $7 trillion market, and it's a bad comparison to just compare the price, because Bitcoin at that time was only worth, $100 billion, and gold is worth $7 trillion. Well, since that statement was first made, the whole crypto market now is worth over $500 billion. It's on its way to be worth $1 trillion. It's going to be worth $7 trillion. It's going to be worth more than $7 trillion. Bitcoin itself could be worth $1 trillion. So all the fiat money in the world, all the fractional reserve banking, over-leveraged garbage we've been warning about. And in 2003, we said, yeah, gold is a place to hide from the fiat apocalypse. But, then Bitcoin came around, and starting in 2011, we said, this is actually the way it's going to happen. This is the financial black hole that's going to suck in all the fiat money. And it's happening, quite rapidly. And so he's right to say that the gold is the first of the major commodity/currencies to be disrupted by Bitcoin. But after gold, we'll see other major fiat currencies collapse and implode.
Well, remember Alan Greenspan, who was a gold bug and then became the head of the Central Bank of America. Well, he had said that the UK was stupid to give up their gold because in extremis the gold is always used. Just look what happened to Germany during World War II. But this is something we're seeing, that Bitcoin is becoming that, because the gold is kind of linked to the U.S. controlled financial system. So look at what's going on with that case of Turkey versus Iran, and they were using gold because Iran was not allowed to use dollars. But now I've seen more and more. We've seen Venezuela announce the petro, partly, if not mostly, to circumvent sanctions. I saw an advisor to Vladimir Putin being quoted recently that he thought Bitcoin could be a good way to circumvent sanctions as well. So the original design for Bitcoin was also in order to circumvent the financial system where so much fraud and opaque, it happens behind an opaque wall of all sorts of derivatives and fraud, and then they get bailed out by the central banks. Remember, there was actually mentioned the bank bailouts in the UK and the run on Northern Rock. So here, this gold guy from Daily Reckoning, and that's how you and I met, over gold, talking about gold and Daily Reckoning. He says Bitcoin trading is totally bonkers, and it doesn't look like it's going to calm down anytime soon. It has morphed from an underground tech geek trade to the biggest market mania we've seen in decades. Bitcoin news is pushing stock market stories below the fold. Despite the market's incredible performance this year, equities are starting to take a backseat to cryptocurrency. And then there's gold. Bitcoin is stealing gold's thunder as the holiday season approaches. Doomsday preppers used to stock up on gold and canned goods. Now they've cleaned all the gold out of their bug-out bags and replaced it with Bitcoin. So then he goes on to mention that all these debates about, is it a store of value or a payment system? Doesn't matter. People are piling in. They're getting rid of their gold, and they're going long on Bitcoin.
Yeah, well, that's right. I mean, it turned out to be a fantastic store of value, and it's attracting trillions of dollars, and the price will explode upwards to 100,000 and beyond, and then it'll start to level off. There's a fantastic chart that somebody posted online about the gold versus the Reichmark, I guess was the German currency during hyperinflation Weimar Republic days. And gold went to trillions of dollars an ounce versus the Reichmark, of Reichmark per ounce. And the same thing is happening of Bitcoin versus the U.S. dollar, where you could see Bitcoin trade at $1 million a coin. It's not necessarily the price of Bitcoin is moving so much as the U.S. dollar is experiencing a hyperinflationary collapse, like a Weimar Republic. We're having a Weimar Republic moment for planet Earth.
Well, hyperinflation is a kind of a political thing. They always say, like, inflation and deflation are monetary events. Hyperinflation is a political event. People lose faith in that system. So I know there are some who say, like, wait until you see the force of the U.S. government or the Chinese government or the Abu Dhabi government, or, any government's going to come in and smash your head if you don't use their currency. But if the people have lost faith in their political and financial system, there's nothing you can do. You can't beat them over the head enough. You cannot, the Gulag Archipelago showed that you can't force people to believe in your your cult.
Yeah,
you know?
within a few years, 50-60% of the population will have $1 million worth of crypto on a private key, on a Trezor or some other offline storage device.
Yep.
And how are you going to convince those people to comply with your stupid laws? I don't see how you're going to be able to do
Well,
that.
it's not just that. You can. It's not whether or not you can get them to comply with the law. Yeah, they'll pay their taxes. Yeah, they'll buy their Obamacare. Yeah, they'll do that. But can you get them to believe in Janet Yellen, in the next Fed chairman, in the ECB? Can you ever get them to believe that that system is sound again? Can you get them to say, okay, that's going to be great. It doesn't matter. You can arrest them. You could put them in jail. You can fine them. You could do all that stuff. Whether or not they'll ever believe you, whether or not they'll be like, hey, I'm happy with the system. I'm going to go out and shop, and I'm going to think about the future, and it's all great. No, they're not going to do that. So here we've established that
You spent some time in my black hole. It's affected your cognitive abilities.
Don't make the camera people laugh, okay?
I see Frank smiling.
So we said it's a store of value. It's also the value of Bitcoin is the actual network and the ecosystem and the open public ledger. It's also attracted, just like early Silicon Valley, what did it attract? The best, smartest, most innovative people, the thinkers, the sort of people who think about putting us
the answer is no, they're not going to go back. They're not going to go back to Janet Yellen. They're not going to go back to central banks. They won't go back. The confidence in the fiat system is collapsing, and there is no turning back. This is the collapse of the nation state and the central bank and the fractional reserve fiat money system. Bitcoin is to banks what the printing press was to the Catholic Church. It collapsed it in many ways. This is the end of this era. This is the new beginning. This is about everyone having autonomy and sovereignty with their own money that can't be confiscated, that never is deflationary. Value goes up.
And like I said, the value of the network is also the fact that the smartest minds in the world are attracted to it, and they're all working on it, and they're coming up with solutions. So no matter how much FUD you throw at it, you can say all the things wrong with it. As soon as you identify the things wrong with it or the flaws, that's the thing of an open source network, is people like, oh.
Look, the Evening Standard in the UK ran a front page story recently that said that the government needs to warn people that if they lose their cryptocurrency, there are no bailouts for them.
Exactly.
Exactly! We don't want bailouts! Go dig a hole in the ground, throw yourself in, blow your brains out, and cover up the hole. That's what we think of you, Evening Standard, George Osborne, the British establishment, Lloyds, RBS, HSBC, and Barclays. You're all freaking terrorists, and you should die. Fuck! Okay, we got to go to the break. Stay tuned. Much more coming your way.